BA program, third year English students. Let us discuss a little bit about the poem Ulysses by Sir Alfred Tennyson. The poem was written in the year 1833, and this was a phase in Sir Alfred Tennyson's life where he had lost his friend Sir Arthur Hallam. Now, so hence it was a very difficult period of his life. First and the foremost, let's discuss a little bit about Sir Alfred Tennyson. He was the Poet Laureate of England. Poet Laureate means the national poet of a country. So he was the Poet Laureate of England after William Wordsworth passed away. He is known as one of the most famous Victorian poets. He lived to see a long phase of Victorian England, and his poems are like vast oceans filled with knowledge ranging from folklores, medieval supernaturalism, and Greek mythology and epic. So coming back to the poem Ulysses, Ulysses is also a poem that is named after a character from a Greek mythology and also an epic by Homer, the Homeric epic Odysseus. And the name in the epic is Odyssey, and Odyssey is Ulysses. So if we go back to so Ulysses is a character, a mythical Greek character, a character of the epic, just like Arjun from Mahabharata or Ram from Ramayana. So he is also a character of an epic, like we have our own the Pandavas, Kauravas. They are also characters of epics. So Ulysses, if you look at his backstory, if we go back to the Homeric epic Odysseus, Ulysses is an explorer, or Odyssey is an explorer who fought the Trojan War for the Troy, for the kingdom of Troy, for the city of Troy. He fought the Trojan War for 10 years, and he missed his home terribly. And the next 10 years was spent on him, on many adventures that happened while he was coming back home. So in this epic, you will see that Ulysses misses his home, misses his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus to a great extent. He misses Telemachus and his son, and Penelope, his wife, to a great extent. That is the epic. Now, when Lord Tennyson wrote the poem in 1833, the poem Ulysses, we see that the same character has aged. He is no more that young explorer Ulysses. And the summary of the poem is this old Ulysses, who has to now rule his city, is not happy with this administrative job or work, the administrative responsibility that has been vested upon him. Because in the heart of the heart, Ulysses is an explorer, a traveler who wants to travel to different parts of the world, different parts that have not been discovered till now. He wants to know, as in the poem he says, that he wants to chase knowledge like the sinking star, like the star that sinks in the sea. To that end, he wants to chase knowledge. He has this quest, this hunger for knowledge, and he is not meant for this administrative job. Now, that is the summary of the poem. When we look at the narrative technique of the poem, The poem is written in dramatic monologue. What is a dramatic monologue? Monologue, as you know, is the opposite of dialogue. Dialogue is when two people are conversing, and monologue is single, just like I am here giving this video, filming this video, and it's just me talking. You all are not being able to interact back to me. That is a monologue. So why a dramatic monologue? A dramatic monologue is a narrative technique in poetry where the character reveals certain aspects of his or her life. That is a dramatic monologue. So here too, Ulysses tells the readers about how once he was a great adventurer, an explorer and traveler, he is being reduced to this administrator, and he is not interested in administration. He wants to go back and become this powerful, energetic explorer. But of course, old age has taken over. He is no more a young man with that energy. He might not have that youthful energy, but the enthusiasm and the zeal for travel is always there. So let's look at the poem paragraph wise. We will summarize the poem paragraph wise. So as it is a dramatic monologue, it has been narrated in the first person, and the person speaking, of course, is Ulysses. Now if we look at the first paragraph, he talks about how this life is very dull and boring. He is an aged man now, but he does not like to be called aged. And he calls, instead of him being called aged, he calls his wife aged. And he does not like being an old man. Moreover, he does not like the subjects that he has to administer. He believes that the people that he has to rule or administer are very crude, very savage. They are not refined people, and he is not very fond of these people. He is not fond of the people that he has to administer. Then he goes on to talk about his son, his only son, or his elder son, Telemachus, and says that Telemachus is opposite of him. Telemachus is a good administrator, whereas Ulysses is a good adventurer, a traveler. So he feels Telemachus is better fit for this job of an administration. In a way, he is trying to say that his son is not as adventurous, as reckless and adventurous and enthusiastic in travel as he is. However, Telemachus makes that up by being a calm, responsible administrator, a good ruler who is deeply rooted to his soil. Now, finally, Ulysses wants his crew members, the crew members with him he traveled in his youth. He urges or he appeals to the crew members to join him in this last voyage, in this adventure, in this last travel, quest for knowledge. And he tells them that he is aware of the fact that they are no more young men, young enthusiastic men. They are no more that. But they might not be physically strong, but their zeal is as youthful as it was 20 years back. So that is how the poem ends. Ulysses urges, he gives a very exciting speech like a football team captain to his team and says, come on, my dear fellow travelers, let's go to the end of the world. Let's chase knowledge till the place where the star sinks in the sea. So that is how the poem ends. And the crux of the entire poem is Ulysses being dissatisfied with his role of an administrator, and still holding on to this innate desire, this yearning for traveling